boy Luke. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their turkey day, is enjoying their Black Friday as well. But we're back for another Jock Market preview here for November 26th. And what we do in this video is we cover our top 6 stocks to target in the IPO bidding phase for tonight. If you guys are new to Jock Market, haven't played it before, it is the stock market for DFS. Essentially, you buy shares of players, and based on the performance, you get paid out on them. You're able to buy and sell them live as the event goes on as well. So if you're paying a little bit of attention, if one of your guys isn't playing well, you can go ahead and limit that risk right away. If you see somebody playing really well, that's a little bit underpriced, of course you could take advantage of that kind of situation as well. But what we'll focus on here is the pre-IPO bidding, essentially where they distribute all of the shares. These are 6 of the players that I think are going to go a little bit underpriced during that period, whether it's because of their pre-rank or their matchup or whatnot. These are going to be people that should give you plenty of ROI going forward. The first guy I'll be targeting tonight is going to be Steven Adams of the Memphis Grizzlies. While he's not a super sexy pick by any means, he's somebody who's been pretty consistent to start this year, especially in terms of his minutes load. He's played between 20 and 28 minutes in almost every single game. So him to be pre-ranked there at 92 at just a 23-point projection, I think that's just a little bit too modest. This is somebody who sure has his share of bad games where he ends up being taken out due to game script. Maybe the other team plays small, that kind of thing, and he ends up not being as useful as typical. But with Steven Adams, you also get a lot of top-end upside. 35, 40-plus point fantasy games from Adams, and somebody who's probably going to go for less than $1.75 tonight is going to make him an attractive boom option. He's always somebody who's worth taking a risk on down low, because worst case scenario, he goes out and completely busts and returns you the dollar, off the $1.75 you paid for him. So not a huge risk in terms of his lower end floor. If we take a look at his upside as well, I mean, this is somebody who, if he plays 20 to 25 minutes, is likely going to put up 25 to 30 fantasy points. And at that type of return would be a nice return on a positive EV. You'd be looking at probably $1 to $1.50 of profit right there. So for me, he definitely has those massive ceiling games in him. That's why I like using him as a penny stock, but also doesn't bring much risk to the table with the way that Jock Market works. Next up, we have Nerlins Noel, also somebody who's way down the board in terms of his pre-rank. They're at number 113. Getting even more disrespect than Adams, in my opinion. They're at 19.67 points. And this is somebody who's very likely to start tonight against this Phoenix Suns team. Not only do they need Noel's size to match up with DeAndre Ayton, they're also dealing with Mitchell Robinson, likely not to play. As of right now, is highly questionable. So as a result, somebody like Noel should see at least 25 to 30 minutes here. Ended up not playing as many minutes 2 starts ago due to foul trouble. The last time out was able to get a solid minutes load right around 30 minutes. And at that type of projection tonight, I have him projected much closer to 27 fantasy points rather than just under 20. So as a result, bringing a lot of value to the table. And in terms of a target price, I mean, as long as the injury news isn't glaring, like I believe it's a 7 o'clock start, so we are probably going to have him announced in the starting lineup. He might go for a little bit more than $1.30, but I would probably be willing to pay up to $2.50 for him. Honestly, at a 27-point projection rate around 75, you're looking at a decent return even at that type of price tag. Again, we want to make sure that he's starting, so make sure that you guys keep an eye on the news later on, particularly the starting lineups that are announced by beat reporters and whatnot. But this matchup against the Suns, they should need his size, and I expect him to be a very good play on the Jock Market tonight. Next up, we have Darren Fox of the Kings. They're playing against the Lakers, which actually is one of the best matchups in the NBA to this point of the year. They run with very high pace, and efficiency-wise, they were nowhere near the team that we saw last year on their championship run. So if they want to return to that type of glory, one of the best teams in the league, if not the best, they absolutely need to turn it around on the defensive side of things. If we take a look at Darren Fox, though, I really like him in this matchup, not only as a scorer, but also somebody likely to get a few more peripherals. I have him ranked right now as the number 24 player on the slate, rather than his pre-rank of 39. And you can see there's just over a 6-point difference between them, which isn't very much to speak of. Obviously, every point matters when you start to get into this 30 and 40 range. The range of outcomes the whole way from like number 20 the whole way down to number 50 is no more than 10 fantasy points. So we want to make sure we're targeting guys that are in good matchups here that more often than not are going to outscore their median projection. And in this type of a high-paced matchup against the Lakers, not only is Fox likely to get more assists, more scoring, which is obviously inevitable, also more rebounds, steals, all that type of things, because there's going to be more possessions. So really like Fox in this instance. You can see that a lot of the guys on this list tend to be big men, or maybe people that get it done with their peripherals, Also, if you're new to the jock market, just a reminder, you do get negative points for shots missed, which can definitely be a negative for some of these shooting guards, some of these point guards, that kind of thing. Darren Fox, though, has a relatively high make percentage. You know, a lot of his baskets are layups, drives to the basket, dunks, that kind of thing. So he doesn't get quite as much of a negative as somebody like Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, that just throw up an absolute ton of shots. Next up, we got Scottie Barnes, who is very likely to be starting tonight regardless of the injury situation, but OG Anunoby also very doubtful for tonight's matchup, which would mean even more minutes for somebody like Scottie Barnes, plus about a 7 to 10% increase in terms of his usage, which for somebody at his type of pre-rank, particularly for his price tag on DraftKings or even FanDuel as well, would definitely be underpriced. So as of right now, I have projected for 31.65 points, and that's even with OG Anunoby in. If OG ends up being rolled out, which at this point I expect, I would even increase that projection to right around 35 points. So really like him in this instance. The Pacers matchup isn't ideal. They tend to run with a little bit of a slower pace than most teams. They aren't the best defensive team in terms of efficiency, though. So when you have your possessions against them, you tend to be a little bit more efficient than most teams. So it kind of cancels out there, right? They're running at slower pace, but they aren't as efficient on defense. So Scottie Barnes, just because of the injury situation, I definitely expect him to be underpriced tonight. I have a target price on him right there at $3.25. I expect if the injury news comes out for him to be a little bit more hyped, might get close to that target range. So obviously we're going to have to keep an eye on just how many people are buying in on Scottie Barnes. But the fact that he's there at number 77 so far down in the pre-rank, I definitely think he could be overlooked. So I'm going to have him favorited, going to be tracking that situation very closely. I really like him tonight in this matchup against the Pacers. Next up, we have Draymond Green, and these top two options are by far my favorite options on the slate. Definitely the two that I'm making priorities for my portfolio tonight. So first off is Draymond Green there at number 41. Not coming in with the much disrespect as he should. I mean, this matchup against the Trailblazers is an absolute goldmine when it comes to DFS. And not only is this going to be a high-paced matchup, which will lead to more offensive production from Green, you're also dealing with many more peripherals. I mean, many more steals for Draymond Green, rebounds, all that kind of things. So he could very well go out there, put up a triple-double, and be somebody who finishes in that top 15 to 10. So I like his upside in this matchup. In terms of a target price, I have him at $4.85. Definitely think that he's going to be a little bit overlooked. A lot of times people in this range are going for closer to $3.50, even $4. So I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room with Draymond Green, but really like him tonight. Definitely somebody I'll have plenty of shares of, particularly if he comes in lower than that target price of $4.85. Then lastly, guys, we have Nikola Vukovic, somebody who's returning from injury, and last time out was very productive in his time on the court. So I like him there as the 36th ranked player in this field. He's only projected by JockMKT to score 32.72 points. I have him closer to 38 points, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but like I said before, every point really matters when it comes to this 20 via 40 range. The whole range is about 10 fantasy points in general. So people like Vukovic that have a really nice matchup against his former team, the Magic, I expect him to, one, have a little bit more motivation, perhaps play a few extra minutes tonight. Second of all, he's one of the most efficient offensive players in the NBA. This is somebody who can get it done completely across the board, whether it's scoring inside, shooting the three ball. Also very good at assisting other players, has very good vision. Also a good rebounder. Obviously with his size, you would expect that. So Nikola Vukovic, somebody I will be investing in. I have a target price on him at $5.75. I definitely think he comes in below that. Potentially even has $10 to $15 upside on the jock market. So that is my portfolio for tonight. Obviously trying to diversify by taking all of these 6 guys. That is all I've got for my top 6 stocks to target. Hopefully you guys are enjoying JockMKT as I am. It tends to be one of the most profitable ways to target DFS, just because there's not a lot of users over there. Obviously, when they get more users, stock market's going to become a little bit more competitive. It's going to be a little bit harder to get some of these IPO prices that we are right now. So make sure to go ahead and take advantage while the taking is to be had. So thank you guys for stopping by as always and supporting the channel. If you guys haven't already liked the video or subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys go ahead and do so. And if you guys haven't gotten a chance, let me know down in the comments who your favorite player of the target is tonight. Maybe it's somebody I mentioned, maybe it's Scottie Barnes with that injury situation, or maybe it's somebody I wasn't even considering. So go ahead and let me know down there. I always love to hear from you guys, and good luck with all of your bidding tonight. Hopefully you guys get all the stocks that you're looking for, and have a great weekend, guys.